Sleeping Dogs is a game made by United Front Games and published by Square Enix in 2012. It was originally going to be a new entry in the True Crime series, but became its own thing, and it fucking slapped meat. Set in Hong Kong, starring undercover cop Wei Shen, who must enter the Sun On Yee triad and take it down from the inside. The gameplay is a mixture of everything you can come to expect from an open world game. Driving, fighting, doing missions, and other miscellaneous side content is what will fill up a bulk of your time playing Sleeping Dogs. So what sets Sleeping Dogs apart from other games in its genre? The story starts slow with you taking on small jobs as a small-time gangster in the Triad, slowly escalating events until a bunch of wacky shit happens and everything is fucked. What the story may lack in twists and turns, it makes up for in just simple fun. Nothing really surprised me throughout, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a fun, entertaining story worth not skipping. The characters I felt were lacking any sort of depth, but many were fun and they did their jobs well. You work your way up through many Triad bosses who you must take down, including an absolute P. Diddy freak-off of a guy. Some characters showed up for a single mission and were never seen again, which I thought was odd, but it's whatever, I guess. The police characters Wei reports to, while acted very well, never really gave me much to remember and didn't really do much throughout the game, and just kind of were in the background, so they were whatever. The best thing about the story, in my opinion, is the fact that it does not shy away from ridiculous events that are perfectly used to create an action set piece for you to go through, which keeps the story and its events constantly interesting, as while it may be predictable, the game will always throw something in there to make sure you have fun with the events that unfold. This is not to say the story has no grit, however. Many dark events occur in the game that are taken completely serious by otherwise goofy fucking characters. This only adds to the charm of the game and makes certain moments actually impactful, whereas otherwise they wouldn't be. Overall, I think the story does its job well, and while you won't be shedding any tears by the end, I was certainly not disappointed. The world of Sleeping Dogs isn't massive compared to others, but it makes up for that in attention to detail and density. You can't go 5 meters in this game without something or someone stopping you and diverting your attention. The game takes place in Hong Kong, and even to this day on the original 2012 version of the game, it looks great, and uses a dense urban environment and traditional architecture for all sorts of combat encounters, races, shootouts, and even good old-fashioned cockfighting. The dev team spent actual time in Hong Kong, and you can really tell they put serious time and effort into making sure it's accurately depicted in many ways. The world has many open-world slop things you will find bukkake across the map. Shrines for health, lockboxes for money, drug busts you must beat up some gooners, hack a camera then snitch on some drug dealers. While this content is nothing more than some busy work, it does give boosts and benefits you can use in-game, but I didn't bother much and it didn't affect my gameplay much, so it's really completely optional. Many side missions can be scattered around, which are unfortunately not much to write home about. Basically just open-world events. Help somebody escape from the cops, deliver an item. Nothing much to say about those. You can even go on some dates with some absolute hotties. But all you get is one mission and you get to see some collectibles on the map. Not very interesting, so. The game has many different cars of differing classes you can buy, which will unlock races in the game world, which is pretty neat. The game doesn't really give you a reason to go out and do all the races though, so it's completely optional besides a few missions. But still pretty cool. The world itself also has many immersive elements that feed in the gameplay, such as purchasing food from a street vendor to gain a boost in combat, and stopping by a happy ending massage parlor to gain an XP boost to your face stat, a stat which is representative of your level in the criminal underworld. This is what decides what clothes you can wear and what vehicles you can purchase, giving the game a natural, satisfying progression as you go through the story. The gameplay of Sleeping Dogs is the highlight of the product, and the combat specifically is easily the most refined feature that never gets old throughout the entire game. The combat is made up of simple combos that tie into counters, grabs, and throws. The system starts simple, but as you collect statues for a weirdo pedo and beat ass in the triad to gain experience, you can unlock many more moves that effortlessly tie into the combo system and keep it constantly evolving until the very end. Another feature is the environmental attacks, which if an enemy is grabbed, they can be brought to a highlighted object in which they will be decommissioned swiftly. This is a great feature which keeps you aware of the area you are in, making the combat more than just simple button mashing. Another large part of the game is going to be cover-based shooting, which is serviceable and works fine. It switches up missions between just fist fighting, so I'm definitely glad it's in the game, and I don't really have any real complaints about it, but there's also really not much to say about it. It just kind of works. Driving is a very standard affair of arcade physics and hilarious crashes only fit for Live Leak. The races are fun, but the cop chases are lacking the physics of GTA that made them such a spectacle in those games. Here, the vehicles are pretty static, and destroying them is done by shooting the tires or by ramming into them like a go-kart until they explode, which isn't nearly as satisfying as the pileups you can get in other games of the genre. But overall, I think the driving works fine, and there's not much to complain about. All of these gameplay ideas culminate in the mission scoring used throughout the game. You will be ranked by 3 stars in both triad and police work. You will lose police score by fucking up in missions, like killing innocents or by crashing during a race, or destroying property. and gain triad experience by fighting creatively and scoring headshots and such. This is a fun system which grants replayability and takes advantage of the game's story for interesting gameplay mechanics, like how Wei has to be an undercover cop. Good shit. So without getting into spoilers or anything like that, I do want to say the ending left me disappointed, as it didn't even feel like the end, more like the halfway turning point. It feels like there was more to be done in this story, and it was just time skipped away straight to the happy part of it all, which was definitely an odd feeling and gave me a bit of whiplash. It didn't ruin anything that came before it, but it definitely left me empty feeling after I finished it, and I really wish there was more that they could have done. It really does seem like they just ran out of time, and yeah, I was really disappointed just to have it end. I've never had a game just like end like that. I was disappointed. Overall, Sleeping Dogs is an incredibly ambitious game for its time that I think nails most of its goals. I would have loved to see a timeline where Sleeping Dogs got a sequel or even became a series that rivaled True Crime itself, but unfortunately over 12 years since its release, it seems this is all we're going to see from Sleeping Dogs, which is a shame for certain. I would love to see it make a comeback one day. But unfortunately, United Front Games has shut down since, so I don't believe we'll be seeing any more of Sleeping Dogs ever again.